...2024 SXR. We want to change the fuel pump. Now how's that going to happen? It's buried under here. It is absolutely buried. Let's see if we can figure out a way to show you guys where it is. It's way under here. All right. Way under there, behind the wiring. So spatial orientation. Here's your fuel filler. Here's the Kawasaki emblem here. It's right under the eye here. There's going to be a electrical connector. And right about here, there's going to be a fuel line. It's just really hard to show you guys because it's buried under there. There's got to be an easier way. I think I got an idea. We're going to cut the hull in half so I can show you guys what we need to see. The fuel pump is actually underneath this front part of the hull. There's no way to get to it. There's no way to see it. There's no way to show you guys or demonstrate. But if you see where we're going through the exhaust side here, we're going to reach between the spark plug wires and we're going to reach all the way forward to right about here, okay? This is what you're reaching for here. To make it easier, we're going to lift this hood off and lift the top half of this hull off. This is what we were covering up. I've unplugged the coils and I've unplugged the rectifier and the start-stop switch and the lights. This is all laying here. You got your fuel tank, you got your fuel line, and you got your fuel pump harness. See, we're on the port side here. We're gonna reach under here just like we did before. This is what I was trying to show you guys. See this here? This is gonna be the first thing you're gonna feel for is the plug. And see, it's facing you, so your thumb's gonna grab here, you're gonna squeeze and lift. Okay, just like that. That's your plug, that unplugs your fuel pump. Okay, now we're gonna move that wiring out of the way. Now, on this particular setup here, you're gonna feel for this void. See this void here? These clips are gonna be, there's a clip on the top and bottom. Now, yours could be changed. It could be facing any other direction, okay? But more than likely, it's gonna be either this way or this way, okay? So you're gonna feel for those clips and you're either gonna try to clip them this way or this way. But you have to get both of them at the same time and it's very tough to do. But you see how that happened there? Once you flick both of these top and bottom, once that happens, you pull this out, okay? So now your fuel line is pulled off. And once you get to this part, this is gonna be a little easier. You're gonna take a really small ratchet and a really small 8mm or a small 8mm wrench. And you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts. Okay, look at your orientation. You have an orientation pin here for the outside, and you have an orientation pin here for the inside, okay? So I've already got these loosened, so we'll just yank these off real quick. See, we got the 6 bolts out of here. Now this is gonna slide towards the rear of the boat, right? Okay. Now this is the crazy part here, because you're doing this blind, right? The holes right here, you're gonna reach in through here. The easiest way to do this is to rotate this 90 degrees counterclockwise, okay? So it starts out here, rotate it counterclockwise, okay? What's gonna happen is you're gonna pull it down this way and it pops right out. And then there's an O-ring here as well, okay? Now, inside the fuel tank is where all the debris is gonna be. Okay, the fuel filtration has stopped all the sand, dirt, and other debris. There's gonna be a lot of stuff in the bottom of this tank. Usually that's gonna be the culprit of why you start losing top speed and other issues. Okay guys, we're gonna go through the basic service of the pump here. This bottom piece here, this bottom piece comes off and there's 2 spots. There's one, if you follow the fuel gauge up, there's a hole right here. You take a pair of needle nose and they'll just drop down in there and pinch those together. Rotate 180. You'll see this other side here. Pinch those with needle nose. Sure, just like that. Okay, and then it's going to come off and pull this way. This pops right off here. Filters are readily available for like 10, 15 bucks a piece, whatever they are. And then you just reverse procedure. Slide that on in place. Make sure it snaps in place and you're good to go. Double check all your tabs. If you want to, you can put a hose clamp on both sets of these tabs here. It stops them from coming apart. It turns out this ski has about 45 hours on it. So at 50 hours, we need to service the fuel pump. So I went ahead and took this apart and serviced the fuel pump and put a new fuel filter in it, cleaned out the fuel tank and went through all that. So now our fuel pump will be as good as new. So the key is going to be all the dirt and debris is going to be down in here, okay? You're going to be able to come through the top where you pour your fuel, where you pour your gasoline. If you want to take a wooden dowel or a mechanic's wire with like paper towels or something wrapped up tight, or you want to come through here, you're going to need to get the debris, the sand, the dirt, the grit out of this tank. And the best way to do that is to take and siphon all the fuel out of the tank the best you can, and then just take and go put rags after rags in until they come out clean. It may take 6 or 7 times to do it, but if you don't do that, you're going to be back in this situation a lot sooner than like I just met a guy the other day. He had 150 hours on his ski when his fuel pump finally clogged. So you're actually supposed to pull the fuel pump and change the fuel filter that's down here at 50 hours. And you're supposed to remove all the debris from the tank, change the filter, and service this at 50 hours. He had 150 hours on his ski, and he finally started losing top speed. So obviously, you're going to change. You know, when you do all that, then you're going to change this out, and then you're basically going to do the same thing. You're going to rotate it in like this, okay, in the same process. And there you go. It's that simple. I know it's not going to be that simple because you're doing this blind, but you guys have to visualize. And then once you do that, that's your profile there. You got a line up pin there and a line up pin there. And then you're going to reverse the same process with your you're going to push that on there, and you're going to lock that into place, right? Snap that into place, and then you're going to bring this back over here and plug that in. After, obviously after you do your 6 bolts. But it's really that simple. The problem is you can't see. You're doing this blind. So get a visualization, take notes, do whatever you need to do, because there's really no way to do it outside of the hull. As you guys can see, we cut apart an old race hull that's been damaged severely to do this. I wouldn't cut up a brand new hull, but no SXRs were harmed in the filming of this video. But we will show you guys how we cut this apart just for fun. Guys, what do you do when you find an SXR 1500 hull in the trash? Well, most smart people would leave it in the trash, but not me. I brought it home and I said, you know what, I'm going to do something with this hull one day, and I didn't know what that meant, but it turns out I'm really curious to see how well these things are put together and why they do things the way they do. So the best way to do that is we'll cut the hull apart and look at it and start identifying and dissecting different. The first thing I want to do is drill holes in the tray to access the bolts. The pump shoe is bolted in from the inside of the hull when they assemble it. So the only way to get to them is to drill holes in the floor, in the deck tray. And I don't know where those holes need to go, so I want to make a template so in the future, if we come across one with a broken pump shoe, we'll be able to replace it. just as I feared. I think it's going to be easier to take the hull apart and try to assess this, and then we can work backwards. We'll put the top half back on and we'll figure out where we need to drill. Otherwise, we waste a lot of time on this, and we don't waste time. So the next thing we'll look at, the engine mount risers. You always see the voids down there where there's voids underneath the fiberglass. I always wondered how well those are put in. So I got a heel bar here. Let's see if we can find a place. I just was going to pry here somehow. And okay, well, those are put in pretty good. All right, that's positive. Wow, okay, well, that's what I wanted to see. They're in there better than they look. That's what I wondered. Again, we'll look at those once we get the hole opened up and see if that's any better. I'm still not seeing the bolts. They got to be right here, though. Got to be right here somewhere. Huh. They're probably underneath that silicone or something. So that's what it looks like. You have a lot of styrofoam. Really, it's pretty simple. I mean, there's really nothing to it. All right. That's what I wanted to see. You can see the exhaust is just turned up here like so. A lot of people don't like that. I really don't see nothing. I don't see anything wrong with it. But I guess if you want to pull this out, the only thing holding it on is this glue here. I thought there'd be glue somewhere else, but I guess not. The foam holds it in place. Here we go. We've got the exhaust here. Looks like the exhaust flange has been removed already, so it's just glued on here, and it doesn't look like they keep it trapped between foam, so it's easy to remove once this is apart. The other side is in the top of the hull here. You can kind of see the profile where it runs down in through the hull there. And you see I missed my holes where we drilled them. Missed them by about 2-3 inches each direction. So what we'll do is we'll come back over here and look. I'm assuming this big glob of silicone is hiding a bolt. If you were to drill at this corner right here off of this corner, I'm going to drill a 3 or 4 inch hole because I got about, my pawls are huge. So I'm going to put like a 3 or 4 inch hole saw hole here. That way we can reach down and get to this nut, and at the same time we're going to be drilling through the styrofoam and remove it, and we'll have access to, it looks like, both sides. And then we'll be able to create a template off that, and we'll get a final measurement, and we'll try to pull this thing out. Alrighty guys, here's the numbers. From the back of the hull, It's 16 7/8 inches from the back of the hull. It's 16.5 on this one. But yeah, it's 16.5. So 16.5 on the starboard side and 16 7/8 on the port side. And then again on the port side here, we're 3 inches. We're 3 inches from the port gunnel to the center of the hole. On the starboard side, we're 2 1/8. Sorry, 2 1/4. So 2 1/4 from this side here. Okay, and then drilled with a 4-inch hole saw, and that gives us our dimensions. See, there's a 12mm bolt right there. So those 2 bolts that are under the silicone, we'll loosen those. Those 2 bolts, we'll loosen those, and then this thing will pull out. That's how you get to it. I'd hate that you have to do that if you ever do. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but if you ever break a pump shoe, there you go. That's how you get to it. All right, well, here's a steering cable tube. I've pulled it out from this guy here. I've tried to cut down in here. It looks like there's some kind of a bolt or a nut. Not really sure what holds that together. That's definitely stopping this from coming apart though. So I'm not really sure at this point. I'm gonna keep plugging. I think this may have to unscrew out of here. If this has to unscrew out of here, then this isn't going to be changeable on a regular hull, but we'll see. All right, there it is. That is threaded. That's very bad for us. That's why those are not replaceable, because that itself is threaded. So once this is installed at the factory, they bring this here. They bring this piece here, which has the end for the tube that allows you to line it up. Now, I guess you could get rid of this tube, seeing as you could thread the steering cable back in here. I'm not sure. It takes some serious creativity to get this removed. I guess this is the hardest part, is removing this from the hull. But once you clear around there, get the plexus, there's a big monster piece of plexus here. We'll put this back here. This big monster piece of plexus here. Huh, yeah, there's something like that. Yeah, there you go. This monster, once you get that out of there, this unscrews out of there, and then it screws it pinches and crushes the whole thing. But as you can see, there's bolts that hold it in the bottom of the hole. That's easy to get to. These are now easy to get to once the tray's cut out. But that's kind of a deal breaker for most people, I think. So that explains why Kawasaki recommends you buy an entire hull if you ever damage your pump shoe. But we'll put this on the shelf and save it. You never know. I think I have a better idea. So if you see where this sticks through, because remember, you're going to have a big 3-inch hole up here in the bottom of where you stand in your foot tray, right? So if you took this piece of aluminum tubing for the steering cable, sorry, hang on. So if you took this here, right, and you cut it back here and pop this section, you'd probably have to cut it here and here and take these 2 sections out. Then you'd have enough room to get a 24mm socket down here and back this out without destroying your whole aluminum tubing. It still preserves the steering cable tube, right? Because this little bit of space here, the steering cable tube has that long stainless piece, for the steering rod. The steering rod would make it from here to here, so you could reuse that without damaging it, and then you could reinstall this back on your new pump shoe when you're done. So that's a better idea, I think. It's doable, but that's why Kawasaki doesn't recommend doing that. That's why they don't sell them as a part. So anyway, that's how that's done. So we cut a ski in half, we changed the fuel pump, we've showed you how to pull the pump shoe out, not that you'd ever need to, or not that you'd ever be able to replace it if you could remove it. But that's a lot of fun anyway. Hope you guys had as much fun watching as I had making this video. It was a good time. Till next time, thanks for watching.